The word terrorism in recent times has become more and more misconstrued, its usage sometimes out of place or used improperly. Merriam-Webster defines terrorism as the systematic use of terror, especially as a means of coercion. Historically, and still today, the United States has had many experiences with terrorism, and it has shaped and is still shaping the country as we know it. Some examples of these experiences would be the Boston Marathon bombing or September 11th attacks. The September 11th attacks were motivated by a declaration of a holy war against the United States. This declaration was made by Osama bin Laden and called for the killing of Americans. Subsequently, this attack moved the United States through significant change, such as embroiling it in the nation's longest war to date, the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan, or Operation Enduring Freedom. Additionally, these attacks provoked a national effort of a war on terror. This example perfectly illustrates terrorism's purpose as a tool to coerce a political change or shift and cause instability within a nation. So, what is a domestic terrorist, and how do we differentiate them? According to an essay, The Differences on Domestic Terrorism and International Terrorism, the United States Code defines domestic terrorism as activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state, appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce the civilian population, to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. The United States Code goes on to define international terrorism as activities that A. involve violent acts or acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state, or that would be criminal violation if committed within the jurisdiction of the United States or of any state. If they appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce the civilian population to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, kidnapping, and occur primarily outside the territorial jurisdiction of the United States, or transcend national boundaries in terms of the means by which they are accomplished, the persons they appear to intended to intimidate or coerce, or the locales in which the perpetrators operate or seek asylum. Now, with this knowledge on domestic terrorists and terrorism as a whole, how does this apply to us now? Recently, there has been an issue of rising domestic terrorism. This issue has been reflected in dense urban areas like major cities and state capitals across the United States. According to CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, between January 1st and August 31st, 2020, there was a total of 61 incidents of domestic terrorism. And CSIS reported that the United States had experienced 4 times as many far-left and far-right terrorist incidents in January to August 2020 compared to all of 2019. The United States has also seen many domestic attacks like these due to a growing concern for racial injustice, immigration control, and protests of presidential elections. So, tensions as of 2021 have been high. These tensions speculated to be the catalyst for a contemporary example of domestic terrorism, the 2021 United States Capitol attack. This, like the September 11th attacks, was in hopes of provoking a political shift or response. In this case, the motivation was to overturn a presidential defeat. The motive for these attacks vary, but in the January to August 2020 period, it was seen much of the motivation was far-right and far-left beliefs, with a smaller number of instances with jihadist groups. Solutions to terrorism on a global and international scale have both been proposed. These solutions differ in their approach distinctly. Firstly, the counterterrorism effort in the United States. This effort spawned from attacks like September 11th and the Oklahoma City bombing. The counterterrorism budget had increased rapidly with the global war on terror sparked by the September 11th attacks, and thus was able to stop some international terrorist efforts. Though, this counterterrorism effort sought to dislodge terrorist groups like the Taliban in Afghanistan, popularity for this approach with domestic terrorism in mind is dwindling due to its lack of effectiveness and risk of fostering more extremists. A proposed solution to domestic terrorism is scaling up government programs to combat domestic terrorism. These programs would have the government promote better public health and help with terrorism prevention by building community resilience with these programs. Additionally, this approach would involve funding programs that foster individuals at risk and rehabilitate and reintegrate domestic terrorists to not allow for repeat offenders. I hope you learned something from this video, or at least gained another perspective on domestic terrorism. Please help with this issue by sharing this video to inform others. Thank you.